welcome. Welcome to this Mindful Embodied Monday. It's Monday morning in the Zoom room, but it could be any time of day or any day of the week as you're watching the recording, so welcome. We're going to start with a centering, and then we're going to have a check-in. So I'll pause the recording and check in with the people in the Zoom room, but also invite you to check in the same way that we're doing, checking in with yourself. And then we're going to think a little bit about trolling and mean girl mentality in the context of loving kindness and self-care. Because self-care always comes first. So even if it didn't in that sentence, you'll notice it will come first anyway. So, start today. I'm going to stay seated, stand if you wish, and we're going to follow our ABC. A is for awareness. You know this. Listen. Notice any sounds you can hear, perhaps in the distance, perhaps close by. The world out there moving along. Notice anything you can see in your environment, and perhaps you might become aware how thoughts are triggered and fire as you see things, as they link to memories. That's okay. Notice them, let them go. Then bring awareness inwards. You might feel your feet on the ground, your body on furniture. Perhaps sensing gravity pulling you down to the earth and the earth rising up, supporting you. And bring awareness inwards. How does this body feel today? How do I feel as a body today? Notice any areas of tension, any areas calling your attention. Anywhere that needs extra loving kindness, care, support. And then awareness of your breath. Even bringing that awareness to your breath tends to change it, but notice the inhale, the pause, the exhale, and the gap. And then B for balance. Have a little rock, back and forth, side to side, up and down. Find that point of least effort. Ground and gravity. The body supporting itself. And then see if you can bring some balance to the breath, breathing in and out equally, if that feels good. C for core. Softness without collapse. Inhale in, lengthen. Exhale and soften through the forehead, the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw, the shoulders, the chest, the belly. And again, lengthen and soften. One more, and you might add an audible exhale. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and and then our second C for connection. If you're in the Zoom room, perhaps having a little look at the faces that respond as you smile. Smiling back at you. Or bring to mind a person, a pet, someone past, present, future, somebody that makes your heart smile, makes you feel warm, makes you feel safe. Have a little wiggle. And a check-in. The check-in is, what is your embodiment like today? How, an invitation to consider what animal is your embodiment most like today? As ever, awareness and choice, you do not have to do this. It is purely an invitation. But what animal is it like, and what animal would you like it to be like? There might be a difference, there might not. I'll pause the recording, check into the Zoom room, and we will come back to you. We have some lovely, lovely, lovely reflections in the Zoom room there, and there's quite a bit of sloughing and hibernating and koala bearing with a sense of tiredness and perhaps struggling a little bit to get going. But we also had some bunnies and galloping horses there, so quite a mixture. Spring lambs and rabbits, mice. I might have to do a picture with them all in. Oh, and hedgehog blinking into spring. Lovely. Love that quote. Thank you. Okay, I was thinking today about, well, a friend of mine who is a yoga teacher in America put a post on Facebook, and her name is Christine Weber, and she's an amazing teacher, and she does wonderful blogs and things. And she put a post on Facebook about being trolled. And for those that don't know what trolling is, most people know what trolling is now. It took me a while to catch on, but it's people not being very nice to you, basically. And there's a lot of trolling goes on social media. I have to say, overall, touch wood, fingers crossed, I do quite well. I don't get too much trolling. And the Yoga Rogue Facebook group would appear to be a troll-free zone, and we would have a zero trolling tolerance policy, of course. Somebody would be ejected with loving kindness from the group, should they be of that persuasion. But I was thinking about the mean girl mentality and trolling and loving kindness. And in Christine's post, she talked about every now and again people get very angry with her about various opinions that she expresses, which will happen on social media if you ever express a strong opinion. The things that we talk about in our group rarely invoke such responses, but now and again they do. But Christine had realised that the trolling that she'd got was from AI. It was not a person. It was a bot. It was from artificial intelligence. And she said, how can I be offended by a computer? And I thought about this, and of course, as somebody who personally, I can be a little bit oversensitive, and so it took me a while to be seen on social media. It took me a while to allow myself to show, literally. It took me a while to post videos. It took me a while to post pictures, because I knew that I'm a sensitive soul, and some might say oversensitive. So trolling and unpleasantness, I have a history of taking it personally. That's not the end of the world. It's not a terrible attribute. But I agreed with her. How can you be offended by a computer? Now, I play about a little bit with AI, and I have discussions with Jasper. I'll put the link in this post. And I quite enjoy my discussions with Jasper, because I sometimes ask Jasper things just to be controversial, to say things back to me. And Jasper, if I say to Jasper, thank you very much, Jasper will say, that's no problem. And if I say, I really appreciate that post, Jasper, or that discussion, or that viewpoint, Jasper will say, that's no problem. I will, is there anything else that I can do for you? Jasper has never been mean to me, but there are systems set up in order to troll. There are systems set up in order to highlight, systems set up in order to bring people down. There are also mean girl mentality people on social media doing exactly the same. And the point of this ramble is, the mean girl mentality, that doesn't have to be female, by the way, it can be anybody. It's a kind of group mentality. It's not a person's thoughts. It goes back to an AI trolling. It goes back to automation. It goes back to people not behaving as people and not thinking of people, not thinking as people. So, if we get unpleasantness on social media, or in the real world, of course, but it's more rife on social media, then there's a way to, or is there a way to protect ourselves from that? And this led to me thinking about how we are seen with self-care and how we can respond with loving kindness. Now, I'm not talking about being a pushover and allowing people to trample over us. That's not what this is about. This is about how we look after ourselves. So, I'm going to stand up. You can stay wherever you are. And first, going back to our being seen, but remembering that we're coming at being seen, however we're showing up in the world, from a point of self-care. So always starting with looking after ourselves, with self-kindness, self-compassion, self-love. The pose, if you don't know it, is one hand to shoulder and one around to the ribs. And we are taking a hug, dropping the head, dropping the gaze, taking a squeeze, and feeling into caring for ourselves first. However we feel on a particular day, whatever animal we're relating to, whatever animal our embodiment might be, we can still have self-care within that, whether it's galloping horses or a sleepy koala or a prickly hedgehog. And then coming back, and we've done this before, from self-care to being seen, and how we are seen. We don't always have to be fully seen, be out there. Sometimes we want hibernation. Sometimes we want just being a little bit seen. So noticing how you are, how I am, and how I want to be right now. And then stepping into being seen where it's right for me, for you, today. There's a certain amount of robustness needed to be seen in any form, whether it's publicly, whether it's socially, and it depends on so many different factors. But should you want to be seen tall and strong, you can. Should you want to be quiet and inward, you can, because it's your choice. And the things that come back to us on social media, or things that are negative, they're meaningless. Autobots saying things, it's meaningless. We can still come from a place of self-care and loving kindness. So let that go for a moment. Social media is a strange place. It's a joy. And if it wasn't for social media, we would not have found this group. We would not have found each other. I say that as this is going to be live streamed into the Yoga Rogue community Facebook group and the Stone Circle Sisterhood. But it's the same through websites. It's the same all over. And, you know, some people grew up in schools where groups were mean to each other. I have to say, my school experience in Teesside, in Stockton-on-Tees, was joyous. There was no mean groups. There was no... Other people may have had a different experience, I appreciate that, but from my own perspective, there was no bullying. There was no mean groups. And I'm in touch with so many people I was at school with that it's shocking. It surprises me, given I spent so many years away. But even when you come across organisations that target from a mean perspective, there are actually real people behind them, and the real people individually are usually not mean people. People get caught up in corporate things, they get caught up in business organisations, they get caught up in strategies, and sometimes we have to see beyond that and see the people. Okay, before the guided meditation, which is going to be like a meta meditation, a loving kindness meditation, coming from a place of self-care, I'm going to pause and see if there's any check-ins in the Zoom room. If I send out love, it fixes the world, right? That's not what this is about. But if I come from a place of negativity, I will fire up negativity. So we all need more petals to spread. And if we start with the self love and kindness and supporting our own petal development, it's a lovely description there about being a flower with petals and being able to spread the petals out. If we can start from that place, it certainly isn't going to make the world a worse place. And it isn't going to make the world a worse place for us to live in as an individual. So, meditation. I invite you to find a position that feels good for you today, whether that is sitting tall or lying down, whatever you want to be, wherever you want to be today. Tuning back into how you feel, noticing your breath, and noticing your body, and noticing how you feel now even after that discussion, and if any sensations or emotions arise and have settled into your body. You are perfect just as you are, and all that you do is perfect just as it is. We are where we are meant to be. So take awareness to the top of the head. Notice the space above the top of the head, the forehead, the eyes, the nose and the cheeks, the mouth and the jaw, and sense into the face with love and with kindness and with self-care. Breathing in with love. Breathing out with softness. As though sending yourself a hug and warmth. Moving your awareness down into the neck, the shoulders, and into the upper arms. Noticing anything that arises there, any tension. We sometimes hold it in our shoulders. Breathing in with love. And breathing out with softness. Sensing into a hug. Moving awareness down the arms through the upper arms and elbows. The lower arms, wrists and hands. Noticing anything that arises there. Perhaps you can imagine the hands, sensing them from the inside out. Breathing in with love. And breathing out with softness. Sensing into a hug. Self-care. Letting your awareness move through the body, so through into the chest. Expanding, relaxing. the lungs and the heart, the love and the kindness that rests there. Breathing in with love, breathing out with softness, sensing into a hug. Self-kindness, self-love, self-compassion. Knowing every experience is fine, every experience is real. There isn't a thing of being too sensitive, but noticing it and finding extra self-care when we need it. Moving awareness down into the belly. Noticing any emotions or sensations resting here. Breathing in with love. Breathing out with kindness and softness into a hug with self-care, self-love, self-compassion. Moving awareness down through the hips, through the legs, through the knees, the ankles and into the feet. Perhaps you can feel the space in the whole of the legs. Breathing in with love. Breathing out with softness, with self-kindness, self-care, self-compassion. Feeling into that hug. Perhaps you can sense or imagine the whole of the body in a hug. The whole of the body safe, warm, wrapped in self-kindness, self-compassion, and self-love. Perhaps there's a colour with this. An invitation to imagine or sense the whole of the body wrapped in a colour. From deep within and in a protective cushion all over, all around the body. A colour full of self-kindness, self-compassion, self-love. Now maybe you can begin to extend that love out. Extend that colour out like a light. Bringing to mind first someone you know or people you know, people that you have a good relationship with. You might see that colour wrapping around them too. Full of kindness, compassion, and love. Breathing in with love. Breathing out with softness and feeling into the hug. And maybe you can bring to mind more people, the community. It might be online, it might be in real life. People you maybe don't know as well. In your mind's eye, extending out that colour, that light from you, enveloping them. No need to question, no need to get into discussion, just sending love, kindness, compassion, love. Breathing in with love. Breathing out with softness. Spreading that light. Spreading that hug. Then sending that light out further. Further into the world, to others you may not even know, to others who may not be as kind. Sending out softness and love. Imagining that colour spreading wide, as though infecting people with love and kindness and compassion. Breathing in with love. Breathing out with softness. Breathing into that hug. Perhaps you can imagine or sense that light extending across the earth to all beings. Sending out love and kindness and compassion unconditionally. Breathing in with love and kindness. Breathing out with softness and ease. Sending out a hug. And bring your awareness back to your own body. Perhaps you can sense it shining with the light. Shining with self-kindness, self-compassion and self-love. Protecting, nurturing, loving. As you breathe in, that light might brighten, and as you breathe out, that light might soften. But sense your body bathed in it, supporting you, just for the next couple of minutes. An invitation here to take a hug. Take one hand to shoulder, one around the ribs, and feel into a hug. And perhaps you can sense that light concentrate and shrink and rest in your heart space, knowing it's always there, bathing you in kindness, compassion, and care. Always coming from a place of self-care, if we can. Take any movements you need, any stretches, deepen the breath, and come back to where we began, and perhaps taking into the day a sense of love beginning here, and wrapping ourselves up safe in love, in compassion and kindness, so that we have an armor of love against the generic negativity that can be out there, that we can bathe in the light and warmth and care and love that's here. I'm going to stop the recording and check in with the people in the Zoom room. Thank you for joining us.